I am on time tonight. How about that? Hey, it's your good friend, it's your pal, it's your compadre, it's TC, everybody. How you doing? What's going on the big show today? Well, of course, this is Rock This Town live with your good friend, your pal, your compadre. That's me. Anyways, we are here every Monday through Friday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, and 5 Pacific. And what are we talking about today? We'll relive the past by going to Moscow in 1989. Ever been to Moscow? I've never been to Moscow. I've never been to Russia. I've never been out of the I don't know, the Western Hemisphere, I guess. Would that be right? I'm not sure if that's right. Anyways, we'll also talk about Eddie Van Halen's guitar. One of his guitars, one of his legendary Frankensteins, is going up for auction at Sotheby's. Oh, very nice. It is National Vinyl Day or something like that, thanks to Tommy Edison. We'll talk about that. Also, Metallica celebrating an anniversary today. Tiny vinyl. It's like vinyl for ants, to quote or to paraphrase Derek Zoolander from the fantastic 2001 movie Zoolander. We won't talk about Zoolander 2, which was a complete another piece of crap, like Dumb and Dumber 2, and like I fear Spinal Tap 2 will be. But we shall see in a matter of moments. Also, I've been talking about this for a bit, maybe about a week or two. Menace to Sobriety by Ugly Kid Joe getting a repress. I mean, it's kind of a first pressing, and honestly, it was like pressed on vinyl back in what 1995 in Greece. That was the only place it was ever pressed. So, anyways, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some concert announcements as well. Oh, and my vinyl of the day. My vinyl of the day today is this bad boy. It is a Japanese press. See if you can figure it out from the back. It's perhaps not the hardest thing if you know your new wave of British heavy metal. So there we go. We'll talk about that in just two shakes of a lamb's tail. All right. I like to start by reliving the past, because reliving the past is always super fun. Okay. 1989, the Moscow Peace Festival broke out, and it was fantastic in some ways. I think what happened was, if I remember from like the Bon Jovi documentary that came out maybe a year or two ago, is that Doc McGee got arrested on some like drug charges. And Doc McGee basically managed all of these bands back in the day: Scorpions, Bon Jovi, Cinderella, Motley Crue, Skid Row, Ozzy, I guess, maybe. I thought Sharon was the manager, but you never know. Maybe Ozzy just bring me along for the party, love. Anyways, but so I take this big old 747 over to Moscow to play the Moscow Peace Festival in '89. Bon Jovi obviously was super hot there. Ozzy, was just about to have his quote unquote next comeback with No More Tears record. Cinderella was still hot. Scorpions were kind of winding down a little bit, but still they were the Scorpions. Skid Row was hot as well. And Motley Crue, I guess, let's see, Dr. Feelgood, that was probably out by then. Anyway, so I digress. So they go over there. Everybody on the apparently on the flights doing blow and coke and whatever. It is what it is, and here they are doing this benefits, quote unquote, because Doc McGee got busted for drugs, and then everybody's doing the drugs. So, anyways, that's kind of funny. But it was a hell of a lineup. Of course, I failed to mention Gorky Park was on the lineup as well. So, it is what it is. What can you do? Gorky Park, one of those bands that they're basically the I guess I would call them the loudness of Russian music in some ways. Though Loudness obviously had a couple of hits here over in the United States. One hit in particular, Crazy Night. So anyways, this happened 36 years ago in 1989. I don't know if you remember that. We didn't have the internet back then, or if we did, it was very, 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 very early stages. You were like gophering into the University of Chicago, if you know those terms. So there you go. This was like before FTP. It was like gophering. So there you go. Anyways, I digress. I'm going to move on. That was kind of death. I'm going to check the chat, see if Beat After Beat's hanging out with us. He is not at this moment, but hey, maybe eventually. David Doman hanging out. Very nice. Thank you, David. I still haven't fixed the background here. My apologies. That Rush poster now got repositioned to the other side of the room. But it is here, I promise. And when it will be showing in its all in its entire glory. Is that a word? Glory? Anyways, whatever. Eddie Van Halen's one of Eddie Van Halen's original Frankensteins is up for auction. Do you have between $2 to $3 million? That's the starting bid, give or take. That's what the auction house thinks it's going to go for. I myself could see it going. Apparently, this was given by Eddie to Eddie's guitar tech, Rudy Laren, and eventually sold the guitar to Motley Crue guitarist Mick Mars, who apparently used it on Dr. Feelgood. Speaking of the Dr. Feelgood record from Motley Crue, but yeah, pretty cool. It's definitely all signs of Eddie. It is an original Frankenstein, and yeah, last time a Frankenstein sold from Eddie Van Halen, it went for $4 million. This one they're expecting to catch, between 2 to 3 million, but obviously it could go higher depending on who's bidding in this auction at Sotheby's. But yeah, Mick Mars is about to have a windfall because Mick had the forethought way back when I think it was the late 80s, obviously, if he used it on the Dr. Feelgood record, in the late 80s to pick up this guitar from Eddie, which is actually signed by Eddie there in the upper, kind of in the upper left-hand corner of the screenshot there. And you can see above the pickups and above the strings there. So there you go. Very cool, in my humble opinion. So there you go. A 1982 Frankenstein from Eddie Van Halen. There you go. Built by him. And, of course, immortalized in some ways in the Better Off Dead movie. I want my $2, right? Better Off Dead. Yeah, I don't know. You remember that scene? Everybody wants some. I digress. So apparently today is National Vinyl Record Day, and it's probably that because, well, how many years ago would that be? 1877. A young man named Tommy Edison says, I'm going to invent a phonograph and play a recorded sound. And he certainly did. My mom and my aunts, when they passed away, we found some of those circular, I guess records, you could call them. They're they look like cups, basically. If you weren't paying attention, they look like, black cups that you'd put on the record player back in the day. So it was kind of cool in some ways, but August 12th, 1877. So that would be, let's do the math, 23 years plus 25, 148 years ago. I think I got that right, 148 years ago. So in 2 years, it'll be the, wait for it, 150th anniversary of the first phonograph and in some ways vinyl record. So there you go. I'm still amazed to this day. I just don't understand how that happens with technology or not technology, where you can put a needle onto a piece of black vinyl and it plays music. Even crappy. Like I ordered a copy of See You in Hell out of I don't know, Circus Magazine or Hit Parader Magazine back in the day. From Grim Reaper, and it came in the mail, and I put it on, and I'm just like, this is so flimsy. Just like you could use it as a fan, basically. And it played "See You in Hell" by Grim Reaper. So there you go. What are you going to do? Speaking of that, I'll get to the tiny vinyl here in just a second. But Metallica also celebrating an anniversary today. They released the Metallica record, the Black Album, as it's referred to, self-titled. That was, I guess, on this day in 1991. So 34 years ago, if my math is correct there. So not only is Master of Puppets celebrating its 40th anniversary next year, but the Black Album will be celebrating its 35th anniversary next year. So, and I don't know if I had this cassette. I don't know if I had the CD. I might have had the cassette back in the day. I don't know if you had the cassette or the CD, or if you had the forethought. If you were super cool, well, then you bought the vinyl record back in 91 when they really weren't making that many vinyl records. I saw somebody actually talking about it. I think it was on Reddit that they picked up the white vinyl version. It was like one of 50 recently. And yeah, those things sell for, $1,500. White vinyl. I think it was like a Metallica fan club kind of thing where they only did 50 of them. And yeah, they're just super rare, but super cool. I know a lot of people kind of get a little it's a different sound because Bob Rock came on board, and I get it. Enter Sandman, Sad But True, The Unforgiven, Wherever I May Roam. I dug this record. Sad But True, probably my favorite song off the record if I had to choose one song. I think The Unforgiven, though, is really great as well. So I don't know. Great record, in my humble opinion. I still, you definitely put the Metallica catalog in groups like those. The 4 records, in some ways, the first 4 were, legendary classic. And then you had the next 4, which I would put Load, Reload, and Garage Days Inc., along with Load in there. And then you had kind of the next 4 after that. It gets a little sketchy a little bit sometimes, but, still it's Metallica and it's good. But come on, man, come on. I mean, Metallica had almost a 10-year run, maybe even a little longer run where their stuff was, just always on the radio and stuff. Now it's, gone to the classic kind of thing, but still, I think that's fantastic. And I love this record. And you can still actually get the special edition box set, which is like 5 LPs. I think it's 15 CDs and 6 DVDs. And then also there's like covers from magazines like Rip Magazine and Hit Parader and Circus and stuff like that from back in the day. And then there's like laminates and stuff for backstage passes. And then there's like a book, and that goes for only about $250 now. So if you're a big Black Album fan, boom, you can score that still from probably your local record store. They could probably order it from you, or you can probably find it online. So just some reference there. And there you go. I'm going to get back to the chat here in just a second. But first, I must mention this, which is ridiculous in some ways. This is something that's exclusively sold at Target. So, because obviously, what's the marketing behind this? The marketing behind this is that young people love Target. My niece Faith loves Target. My niece Madison loves Target. Audrey and Amanda and Casey, who worked in the store, I would venture to guess that they all love Target. Target is just, they have figured out how to attract young people. But then at the same time, when the show started, we got a Target delivery here at the house. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where Target just knows how to do stuff. Anyways, Tiny Vinyl, this is called. It's 4 inches of love. And it's really tiny. It's really tiny. I want to tell you about some of the records that they've released here initially. So they've got the Ghost record. So the problem with this is that the songs are limited to 4 minutes, and you can only get 1 song per side. So it's a 4-inch record, 1 song per side, and yeah, there you go. So there's the Ghost record. With Mary on the Cross, a Target exclusive as well. All these, I think, are Target exclusives. What else as far as the world of rock? Well, this is kind of cool. Danny Elfman, This Is Halloween. And What's This? What's This? And these are like $15 each. So they're very much collectibles. They're very in that wheelhouse, man. You want to get online and flex? Boom. You can pull out these little 4-inch singles that Target's gotten behind. So you figure it's probably going to actually do decently because there's a big manufacturer like Target behind this. I'd be interested to see if these things sell out right away. Backstreet Boys and little Britney Spears are in there as well. But Paranoid. They've got a Paranoid by Black Sabbath with The Wizard as the B-side. Though when you dig into it, it says Iron Man's the B-side. So I don't think they know what the left hand's doing right now. What else? Oh, the Stones with Can't Get No Satisfaction and Under My Thumb. Anything else that jumps out at me as being sexy? Well, there's Motley Crue, the Dolly Parton version of Home Sweet Home. I love Motley Crue. I love Dolly, but not together. And then the OG version of Home Sweet Home, thankfully. That's pretty cool. Also some Frank Sinatra, Christmas stuff. So very nice. And then, Notorious B.I.G. with a little Hypnotize, baby. Might be worth picking up. Third Eye Blind with Semi-Chime Life and Jumper. Well, that's kind of cool. And I think that would be it. So there's kind of a mix of country, pop, hip hop, and then a little bit of rock there as mentioned. So I don't know. I think it's kind of funky. I would never buy these, but I bet you the kids are going to go crazy for them because they're collectible, and especially if they're on color vinyl and you can easily set them up. It's like a CD, I guess, but I don't know why we would do that, but It is what it is. Let me check the chat here and see what's going on. Hey, Paula, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out as well. And Sandy, hey, Sandy, good to see you. Sandy, of course, used to work in the store when we had the store. She was fantastic. She was our resident expert on everything vinyl, including French pressings. Hi, Sandy, I'm interested if this Jean-Jacques Gabor pressing from France in 1956 is any good. And Sandy would be like, no, you want to get the Italian press. And I'd be like, whoa, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So there you go. Cool. All right, let's move on. Let's go to, I want to talk about my favorite 80s guitarist. I don't know if you have a favorite 80s guitarist. If you do, chime in. There is so many great players that came about in the 80s. So the criteria here is that the debut album would have had to have been released in 1980 or 81, etc., up to 89. Now, I can think of someone that I left off the list immediately. Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. I love Dave Mustaine's playing. He is fantastic. He's a great lead. He's a great rhythm. He is fantastic. You could make a case for Kirk Hammett, many others. I mean, there's so many artists. Now, I didn't include a guy like Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, because the first record came out in 78. So it was like, otherwise it would have been Eddie at number one. So I'm going a little recency bias here with my number one. But at number 5, I had to put Steve Clark on the list from Def Leppard. The riffs, man, Wasted, that opening riff from On Through the Night, the High and Dry stuff, Photograph, Billy's Got a Gun from Pyromania, Armageddon It, love that stuff. So I love Steve Clark. One of my favorite guitarists. I always wanted to learn his stuff along with some of these other guys when I was learning how to play guitar. So there you go. Warren DeMartini, Incendiary. If Eddie Van Halen lit the match, then Warren basically put it to a dynamite and blew it up, man. Those riffs on Invasion of Your Privacy and Out of the Cellar, they are simply the best, better than all the rest, as Tina Turner would say. George Lynch, I love George Lynch, trying to learn his stuff, like the In My Dreams, the main riff there, and then the solo. I could play part of the solo, and then he got into some fast playing, and I was like, I'm out. I can't do that. I just could never play that fast. I was very much of a slow player when it came to the guitar. And Nuno Betancourt, boom, exactly, Sandy. Nuno is he's kind of the guy now that Eddie's gone, at least in some ways, when it comes to kind of guitar heroes. Now, Extreme was never the biggest band, but Nuno can wail. And then, like I said, recency bias in some ways. I'm going Jake E. Lee at number 1 for me because I love Jake E. Lee on Bark at the Moon. That riff is so good. Apparently, he wrote that when he was in Rat, before Rat had a record deal. And then he's just like, it just didn't really work. And then he got hired by Ozzy, and he's like, hey, if I take this riff and I speed it up a little more, and then Ozzy obviously loved it, and then the solo, and then the ride-out solo is tremendous. So boom, baby, boom. I've got Jake E. Lee at number 1. Hey, Herver, thanks for hanging out. So Herver, I concur indubitably. Slash was initially on my list. I took him off the list. I do love Izzy's. Izzy is basically the Steve Clark of Guns N' Roses in some ways, because Izzy wrote a lot of those riffs, man. I don't think we give Izzy Stradlin enough credit there. Slash was obviously always playing lead, like Phil Collin plays for Def Leppard, but Izzy was fantastic. But Slash, this the same is fantastic as well. Ooh, Herbert just dropped one that was, oh my God. I was just listening to Radar Love today, the cover that White Lion did of the Golden Earring song. Vito Bratta is the name from White Lion. Vito Bratta is fantastic. I don't think Vito Bratta has picked up a guitar like in 25, 30 years. He's just done with it for some reason. Mike Tramp is out there, the lead singer of White Lion. He's still doing his thing, but Vito Bratta just not playing guitar, nothing. But yeah, Vito Bratta, man, that guy could wail. He was just a fantastic guitarist. So definitely. And then another name that I considered was John Sykes. Very nice. Herver mentions Adrian Smith. I do love Adrian Smith. Of course, Adrian Smith left Iron Maiden for a bit in the late 80s into the 90s. And apparently when Steve Clark died in Def Leppard, one of the guys that was discussed along with John Sykes and Vivian Campbell was Adrian Smith. But I think Def Leppard probably realized that, well, eventually Adrian's probably going to go back with Iron Maiden. And of course he did, thankfully. So there you go. And then Richie Sambora. Yeah, Richie Sambora. I loved his guitar playing on especially the 7800 Degrees Fahrenheit record. It is so good. And then on the other side of things, you got Slippery When Wet. And then after that, the guitar kind of lost its, Richie didn't lose his edge, but Bon Jovi music lost its edge a little bit, being a little bit more of what John wanted, kind of that pop stuff, a little Bruce Springsteen-ish, and a little less hard rock and just a little bit more mainstream, I guess, rock in some ways. But I'll salute, it's Bon Jovi's still a great band back in the day. So that's my top, those are my top 5 guitarists of the 80s. And I know it's just a hard list to come up with, but that's what I came up with. Tomorrow, I'm thinking best bands who wore makeup or masks, because I've been listening to a lot of Sleep Token recently. Gotta dig Sleep Token. I gotta say, I missed the boat on Ghost. I never really kind of got the whole Ghost thing. Some of that stuff is good, but Sleep Token, I can get behind that. Emergence and Caramel and Damocles off the new record. Beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. So there you go. All right, let's get to some vinyl announcements that came out today. This one actually just came out maybe an hour or so ago. Ugly Kid Joe is finally getting an official press, U.S. press, and kind of a worldwide press of Menace to Sobriety. Now, I know a lot of people still think that what's the first record by Ugly Kid Joe? I can see it. Oh my God. Anyways, I got to look this up really quick. Sorry. Let me go over here and go Ugly Kid Joe. Ugly Kid Joe discography. There we go. America's Least Wanted. That came out in 92. And this one came out in 95. And this is the 30th anniversary. Well, our friends at Deco Entertainment are doing this one on green vinyl. And that'll set you back about $35 if you want a copy. And as far as the grease pressing on this, I have no idea what that goes for. I'm guessing that would go for a couple $100 because it's just such a rare pressing. And a grease pressing, I don't know what Sandy would say about a grease pressing. I think she might be maybe not too bad. I think that's what she might come back with. I know that we talked about kind of the best pressings in the world were always kind of, the Japanese stuff was always number one, above and beyond. And my vinyl of the day is a Japanese press. And then number 2 was probably the UK back in the 70s and really maybe into the 80s as well. And then you're finding places like the Netherlands did a really good pressings, and the French pressings are always pretty good. American pressings are usually really good. So there you go. But anyways, yeah, Ugly Kid Joe, Menace to Sobriety. It's coming out. This is coming out in late October. It'll start shipping from Deco. And it is, I saw somebody comment, which I thought was so stupid, on their, so Deco Entertainment posted this on Facebook. And somebody commented, I think I'll pass on this one because I ordered the Warrant record from Amazon and it still hasn't come. Well, first and foremost, you're ordering a record from Amazon. It's a stupid decision to begin with. You should have just ordered it from a record store or from Deco themselves. So anyways, but I digress. Anyways, the other one, they're actually doing 2 versions of this. The other version is at $46. This is a 2 LP, 45 RPM, and it's got a bonus track on there that's never been on the original pressing. So not too shabby. Actually, this is on Orange Splatter. That one looks pretty sexy in my humble opinion. So there you go. Oh yeah, Gregory also mentions that the German pressings. The German pressings are fantastic. So there you go. Very nice. Yeah, America's Least Wanted is definitely the one. And I don't know if that's when I should see when the last time that was pressed on vinyl. America's Least Wanted. Let's go to that crappy website we love called Discogs and see when it was last pressed on vinyl. Has it been repressed? No, that's an official. That's just a crap version. So yeah, I guess if you're looking for, was there a US version of this? No. So probably your best bet is about $120 for that record, give or take, maybe 100, 200, depending on, the medium price is always kind of a little misleading because it contains the crappy versions that get sold too. So if you want a quality version, you probably need to look at the high price. So probably about a $200 record for that original America's Least Wanted if you want one. I remember we had one on the store one time. It was very cool. Gregory mentions a couple of other guitarists that were fabulous, including Zach. Very nice. Zach Sabbath came on the scene. Did he come on the scene? Did he have an album that came out before the Ozzy one, or was he unknown then? I don't know, because the Ozzy record, when did that come out? Did that come out? No More Tears. That was 89, wasn't it? Actually, I think it was. And then Dimebag Darrell. Very nice, from Pantera. And obviously they came on the scene early in the 80s with some stuff that you just can't find online because they were it was kind of like a little glammy meets a little high and dry from Def Leppard. That's what they sounded like to me. So they sounded cool when they were doing that type of music. And then of course they became their own music with Pantera. So anyways, late release for the Ugly Kid Joe releases. So that's super cool in my humble opinion. What else is coming out on vinyl? Oh, this is a newly remastered Z album from My Morning Jacket. Expanded with 14 unreleased tracks. So it's a triple album. It's going to go for $50. It comes out, October 3rd. And $50. My Morning Jacket. I never got into My Morning Jacket for some reason. It's just one of those bands that just escaped me. So I don't know. Maybe you dig My Morning Jacket. I myself prefer to go jacketless. That was a terrible joke. So there you go. And then of course I gotta say something about it because Taylor Swift last night announced a brand new record. It is called Confessions of a Vinyl Woman Who Fleeces Her Fans. No, it doesn't. Taylor stuff is cool. What I learned about the last time? So it'll be interesting to see what Taylor does with this. The record is going to be called, what was it going to be called? It's going to be called Confessions of a Showgirl. A rumor is that Max Martin and Shellback, the producers, that Shellback is like a metal guy. He's like the engineer on 1989 and Reputation for her. And then Max Martin is just one of these hitmans that can just, he just writes great songs that just get stuck in your ear, very ear candy. So the rumor is those two may be back. We'll see. Hopefully that's the case. This would be her 12th record. That's the only thing that's been revealed is the title and the color of the vinyl, which is kind of cool. Though her quote unquote boyfriend plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Kansas City Chiefs, one of their rivalries, maybe not in recent years because the Broncos have been crappy, but when Peyton Manning was there, they won a Super Bowl. But maybe Bo Nix and the Broncos were like, yeah, girl, you know what time it is. It's time for the Broncos to step up and for the Chiefs to step aside. So anyways, we'll see what happens there. When she sold her last record, which was Tortured Poets, she did a lot of these variants and stuff. She kept releasing these variants that were just kind of annoying as a record store because you'd have people bring them in for sale because, they paid $30, $40 on her website or wherever. Well, they're pretty much exclusive on the website. A lot of them were. And they'd bring them in, and really quickly we realized that these just don't sell. Nobody wanted all these variants. They were just kind of, the music industry, especially with pop music and young people, they're just varianting the hell out of the fans, which is unfortunate. So you'd see these poor Taylor Swift fans coming in with like all these variants, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can sell these, so I can give you like maybe $5 or $10 each for them because I'm gonna sit. I got a bin full of this stuff already. And then eventually, towards the end of the store, I was paying only like $5 for those records because, I feel bad for the kids. They're paying $35, probably $40 to get it shipped all in. And are bringing them to me, and I'm just like, I wish I could offer you more, but nobody wants these. And so hopefully Taylor doesn't do that again. So, but I digress. So, ooh, yeah, John Norum of Europe, a fantastic guitarist. I concur indubitably. And there's so many metal guitarists that came out then as well. So, Kerry King and Slayer, boom. There you go. Scott Ian. I do love Scott Ian. I love me some Scott Ian. Actually, I'm going to mention Scott Ian here in just a second. So, a reminder, we're live on YouTube starting on September 23rd. Well, we're live on YouTube now, but we're going to be exclusive there. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how it goes. It might get extended till the end of the year, so we might be on Facebook and YouTube through the end of the year. I've that thought has crossed my mind though. But I appreciate you go over, even if you're watching on Facebook, go over to YouTube, find us, Rock This Town Records, and subscribe on YouTube. I should leave a link. That would be good. All right, you ready for some Christmas tour dates? Apparently, Ezra Ray Hart is presenting. Who the hell is Ezra Ray Hart? I don't even know what that is. The Never Ending 90s presents 90s hits and Xmas riffs featuring Kevin Griffith of Better Than Ezra, okay, Sugar Ray's Mark McGrath, okay, and then Emerson Hart from Tonic. I love the band Tonic. Actually, Tonic would probably be my favorite band out of the three, and then Sugar Ray, and then all due respect to Better Than Ezra. So anyways, they're going out for a Christmas tour, doing probably Christmas songs and then mixing in some obviously the biggest hits, like, Every Morning from Sugar Ray, When It's Over from Sugar Ray, Good from Better Than Ezra, If You Could Only See, and Open Up Your Eyes from Tonic. So I don't know. I guess kind of a novel approach. I guess this is kind of a Fonzie moment, I guess, for maybe not for Mark McGrath. Mark McGrath has had a Fonzie moment like 20 years ago. But for the other two guys, maybe a little bit of a Fonzie moment, but still, hey, you got to do what you got to do. And people love Christmas, and I love Christmas. Look at Trans-Siberian Orchestra. They're a behemoth at this point. So crazy. So there you go. You can finally go see Mark McGrath, Emerson Hart, and Kevin Griffith. I know you've been waiting for that one. Speaking of Scott Ian, so there was a cruise called 70,000 Tons of Metal. Metal. I've never heard of any of the bands. There's like 25 bands on the tour, on the cruise. I've never heard of any of them. However, Anthrax was announced today as quote unquote the headliner of the cruise. So, okay. Not so bad. I don't know if I'd go on a cruise with 25 other bands I've never heard of, but maybe, you experience the music. It's kind of fun, right? So there you go. But yeah, so Anthrax is headlining the world's biggest heavy metal cruise out of the Bahamas, well, out of Florida to the Bahamas and Nassau. So there you go. If you like your metal, well then, boom, that's what time it is. A reminder, Motley Crue, of course, with Vince Neil reappearing, about 10 days ago and doing some live shows. How about that? Motley Crue seems like they're set for their Las Vegas residency coming up September 12th through the 3rd at the Park MGM. So, yeah, very nice. Good to see the Crew get back out there. Good to see Vince Neil get back out there. Mick Mars selling his Eddie Van Halen guitar, but John 5, I guess if he's not touring anymore, and that's where all the money comes from, right? Maybe Mick's like, maybe it's time to give up the Eddie guitar, let it find a new home. And yeah, can't believe 5 years since we lost Eddie. So there you go. And then this one, Bonnie Raitt, but okay, don't judge me too quickly. Jimmy Vaughn is opening. And I'm like, okay, Jimmy Vaughn, very cool. Of course, Jimmy Vaughn in Fabulous Thunderbirds, and was he the younger brother? I think he might have been the younger brother, as opposed to the older brother of Stevie Ray Vaughan. So that's why I figured I'd mention this, because Jimmy Vaughn, very cool. And he's got that Stevie Ray Vaughan bloodline, so not too shabby. Are they coming to Arizona? I see Morrison, Colorado. I do not see an Arizona date for myself. So I guess no Jimmy Vaughn, no Bonnie Raitt coming up this year. So there you go. All right, let's keep going, chat. And so make sure, this is Jerry. That's Jerry the dog. Hi, Jerry. How you doing, buddy boy? Make sure you smash the like button if you're digging the show. Appreciate it. If you really dig the show, you can tell some friends and family about the show. That would be amazing. And yeah, not too shabby. All right. Vinyl of the day is this bad boy. There it is, all of its glory. We picked this up, Jen and I picked this up at a place called the In Groove in Phoenix. I was like looking at it, and I'm like, I think this might have been one of our first Japanese presses that we ever had. And it's got the obi intact. The cover is not pristine. You know, when we would sell the Japanese presses on the live show, a lot of our stuff, because I had a contact in Japan, was just amazing. I mean, it was good. This one I would say I'd still say it's VG plus, but most of that stuff we sold on the show was like near mint, excellent, we called it. But still, this is a nice copy, and the vinyl is in really nice condition. It's got it says on the obi strip here, it says a new band, Def Leppard, and then it also lists a couple of other bands: The Specials, Madness. Remember Madness, Our House, Iron Maiden, and then, of course, Samson. I'd forgotten all about Samson. That was definitely a new wave of heavy metal. Get Your Rocks Off by Def Leppard. And oh my God, that's funny. So Get Your Rocks Off by Def Leppard is mentioned here. Another Brick in the Wall is on the obi strip from Pink Floyd. And then Overkill by Motorhead. I guess all those records, well, Brick in the Wall came out in 79. This came out in 80. So it must have been, though it was like March of 1980 when this bad boy came out. So anyways, and then obviously in honor of Steve Clark, the late, great Steve Clark, Rock Brigade, great song. Hello America's on here. It Could Be You is actually a good song. Wasted is fantastic. Rocks Off is fantastic. And I do love a song called Answer to the Master, baby. You've got to go deep on the Def Leppard catalog to appreciate that bad boy. So there you go. That's the big show for tonight. I appreciate you hanging out with me. My voice is kind of starting to cut out here a little bit. I'm going to have to go get some peppermint schnapps to get it going here a little bit. So, but that's it. Yeah. So we're here every Monday through Friday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Boom. It's Rock This Town Live with your friend, your pal, your compadre. TC, everybody. And I will